Anyways, well, welcome everybody. I think we have enough people to start. So, inshallah. Well, my name again, in case you were not here at the very beginning, is Marwan Ahmed. I'm with the American Halal Council. Today is our first webinar session. First of all, Ramadan Kareem, Ramadan Mubarak to everybody. I hope you're having easy times fasting because weather is good so far. And I'm sure everybody's home. I hope you're keeping busy, so you're not thinking about food. So
let's start a webinar about food.
Yeah, exactly. So before we start our topic today, which is about purchasing halal products for your business, let me introduce you to the American Halal Council. Then I will introduce you to our speakers, and we'll take it from there, inshallah. So the American Halal Council is a nonprofit charitable organization. It's dedicated to promoting halal in the US market. And our goal is to create more transparency in the halal market through education, research, and advocacy. Some of our activities include the halal verification, halal market research, and educational seminars and webinars like we're doing today. We are based in Washington, DC area. And you can find more information about us on www.americanhalalcouncil.org. We're a fairly new organization, but alhamdulillah, we have experts on board with their advisory or active board members like Habib and Sarah, and you'll hear from them today. So to start our webinar today, the structure is one of our speakers will talk for 10 minutes. Then we'll do a Q&A session for anybody who wants to ask questions. You can post your questions on the chat, and I will, inshallah, try to group the questions that are similar to each other together, and I'll pass them to the speakers to answer them for you as we go. So let me introduce you to our speakers. We have Brother Habib Ghanem from USA Halal Chamber of Commerce, and a board member of American Halal Council. And we also have Sister Sarah Wali from the American Halal Meat, and she's also a board member of American Halal Council. As I mentioned, each speaker will be talking for 10 minutes, and we're gonna start with Brother Habib, who will be talking about different ingredients in the halal products and what makes something halal and what makes something not halal. So Brother Habib, you can take it from here.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Basically, I will be talking on the subject that we are talking about, when people are buying food items, to look out for what is halal and what is not, in order to make sure they're in compliance, basically with further processed food and sometimes even with meat and poultry. I will leave extra time for questions and answers because I had sent to you, Marwan, the list of ingredients that people can look and check. I don't know if you sent it to Sarah. If you can put it up on the screen, you know. But anyhow, I'll continue. Basically, a simple guide. Okay, there you go. Exactly. This would help everybody, and everybody can get a copy of it. One of my associates, Masar Husseini, works with me. He's a consultant with us and a contractor. It's a guide when you are selecting food, you know. I don't want to repeat everything, but basically it says that, you know, when you are buying products, you know, and especially if it doesn't have the label halal, you know, if it has the label already halal with a renowned institution, maybe you have some peace of mind, because right now there are about, in the whole world, about 40 or 50 halal certification bodies that have been accredited by IAC, Emirates Islamic International Accreditation Body, Gulf, and they also have been accredited by HAC, the Turkish accreditation body, and some are already on with Malaysia, which is JAKIM, and then you have also MUI, Majlis Ulama in Singapore, and MUI in in uh, in Indonesia, where we started. Actually, we started 20 years ago to form the World Halal Council, and there's a video on that. We will go through that, but I just want to hit on the topic. The meat, unless you are there to see it being slaughtered, is difficult. That's why you always ask for a halal certificate, or check on the people who supply you. They have to have some proof of it being slaughtered according to the internationally approved guidelines, like the World Halal Council. I have all those guidelines and standards. Now I know we've discussed it with Sarah's dad and in a conference before for about 3 hours last year. Why I'm telling you this, some people have reservations about whether it's hand slaughter or whether it's mechanical, whether it's stunned or it's not stunned. For people like us, I don't sell anything, unlike other certifiers who certify and sell, but we don't sell anything. All we do is ensure we have people there in the facilities to make sure that there is compliance. We have our staff in the plants if it is for slaughtering, to make sure that the animal has been cut from ear to ear and the tasmiyah has been said. Even if it is for mechanical slaughter, some clients want mechanical slaughter, some want hand slaughter. So we go with what the clients want. But we have met and we are accredited by JAC, which is the Gulf Accreditation Council, and ESMA in Emirates Standard Organization. So my subject today is basically what I did with Masar Hosseini many years ago. It's called the ABCDs of the rule of thumb. In everything that is halal, which is halal means allowed or accepted, and haram meat is forbidden. Basically, that's what it is. Many people assume that everything is halal except for what has been forbidden, but you have to be very careful. With all due respect, there are no restrictions, but food and drinks that are considered halal, unless they're specifically forbidden by the divine law, which is the Sharia of Allah. So haram means unlawful. I like to differentiate that. And then we are not at our own to determine this is haram or halal. We just follow, again, what has been dictated by the Sharia. And Masar Hosseini did this very good article, which I'm sharing on the screen, which Marwan is doing. The ABCDs. A, everything in Islam is halal except for A, which is the alcohol and drugs. B, blood. C, animals that are carnivorous. Things like, if you go to the top right there, the rule of thumb. And things like wolves, because they eat, or lions, or dogs, because they eat meat, or crows, or eagles. Those are carnivorous animals, birds of prey. or if an animal is already dead, whether it's bird or a cow or whatever, if they are dead before slaughter, then it's haram, you know. And emulated food that's rotten, you know, and then swine and all of its byproduct, which is the pig. Anything from pig, whether it is the intestines, whether it's the gelatin made from the pig, everything that from the pig is haram. Now, anyone food that contains one of these A, B, C, D, I, S, even in small quantity, is forbidden. Now, the next part, which is in between the mashbu, is an Arabic term which means suspected, or makruh is another word that people use that it's questionable, you know, especially in food and drink. This is where we go into ingredients such as whey. Shortening can be oils from pig fat or cow fat, you know, enzymes, monoglycerides. And I have a list that we will go through to help you as a consumer and a businessman when you are buying products, even canned products. You can look for canned products, you know, and then if you see any of these forbidden items, you avoid them. You read the ingredients and the label carefully, and there is it is by law, it's required by law to have ingredients on all the products. Then you identify the halal status or mashbu or haram on this guide. And now the guide is it's a slide that you open and close, but I just open it and spread it for you, and you are free to share this with anybody. There is no limitations, no penalty for sharing, you know, it's open for all. Now, if the ingredients are halal, then you can buy it, you know. I'm telling you a typical example, like getting a potato soup. Some people put bacon chips. The other time I went to get clam chowder, I found some items that were from pig. So even though clam is chowder or the shrimp is all halal, some people, not 100, all of them. So you have to look at these ingredients. If there's any ingredient that is questionable, you can avoid the product, or if you want to check, really check, you can call the manufacturer to find out whether about the source of the product. The typical one is gelatin. Gelatin is it is very, very difficult now, because right now there is istikhala on getting it because it has changed its status. But gelatin by itself is a 10-hour discussion. I don't want to get into that, but just right now, for the purpose of simplicity, if the gelatin is from porcine, which is pig, you avoid it. If it is from bovine, you can accept it, because even if it is kosher, but because some kosher gelatin they get it from bovines that are not halal slaughtered, you know. So that in a nutshell is the summary. The next page, Marwan, if you can go down. Okay, stop right there. These are the list of things that you see in most packages. And it's simple. Yes, it's halal. Whey is questionable, but now we have halal whey. Vinegar, it's okay. And vanilla, it depends on the amount of alcohol that is in it. If it is 0.006, 0.005, it's acceptable because it's very little, you know. Shortening means like fat, you know, that you cook. Now you have to check, because there is pig shortening and there's from the cow. The cow has to be halal slaughtered, and you can check from the manufacturer or where you're buying it from. Renin, it's also the same situation. When the ones they used to make cheese. Of course, I don't have to go through every single one, but pork definitely, there is no question about that. Any part of it, even now they have pork in vaccines, which is a big, big, big question now. Where should Muslims go and take some vaccinations when they're going, when they are sure that it's from pork? But there are some doctors and some scholars that have made durura, which means something that is, you know, uh, durura, it's something that is needed for your survival, then you can take it. So the list goes on and on. I don't want to go through each one, but there we are, you know. You as the customer, you are buying for yourself or you are buying to sell to other people, you have to look out for things like that. Bacon does not always mean it's pork. There is beef, breakfast beef. There is turkey bacon, but you have to verify, you know. The way to verify is to call or check if there is a halal label on it. Usually, if there's a halal label, it eases you up a bit. The responsibility lies with the halal certification body. So with that, I think my 10 minutes is up, and I'll wait for questions, or if you want to hear our beautiful sister Sarah's story, then we can go from there.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Brother Habib. I think it was useful information. And if anybody have questions for Brother Habib, please post them on the chat, and I will group the questions together. And after Sister Sarah
Don't
finishes.
forget to put that up, or they can print it and take it. You know, it's very important.
Okay,
If you can share that, that is the main thing, because if you put it up, maybe they can see it, you know.
Yes, I will upload it to the chat so anybody can download it.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
And they can share with anybody else.
So
now, there are many other subjects we want to cover, but today I'm just concentrating on a simple thing on the ingredients. Of course, I have many, many other things. Because we just got our international accreditation for even warehouses. Now warehouses need to be halal certified, because sometimes when they mix, they have storage where they have non-halal and non-halal, or even pork or halal. If electricity goes out, some of the halal items might be contaminated with blood from the, say, the pig or some other non-haram items. That is in the case of meat, but mistakes happen very easily. That's why we have a clear guideline on how to separate halal from non-halal, even in storage warehouses and in cold rooms. So
yes,
there are many other items, even the oils that they use in the slaughterhouses to when they hang the animals, you know, they have to be from halal sources, you know. So I can go more and more and more, but I just want to.
We will do more sessions, inshallah, to address all these details, because this is just a starting general session, and we will do more webinars. And a quick reminder that we will be hosting weekly webinars about different topics. The next week webinar will be about how to start and manage a successful online halal business.
That's very good.
Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Sister Sarah from the American Halal Meat, who's also a board member of our organization, who will be talking about how to buy halal meat your customers can trust. I think that's intriguing enough. So I'll let you take it from here, Sarah.
Assalamu alaikum. So just kind of give you a bit of a background. I thought this was going to be a very interesting and wonderful webinar for business owners that are purchasing halal, because I get a lot of questions from your customers. As a wholesale distributor in the Washington, D.C. area, a lot that has been here for about 30 years, and alhamdulillah, my dad, when he started the business, he's made a very good name for himself to be only selling halal. And because of that, we've become experts and people that are trusted in the field of halal meat. So I get a lot of questions about what's the difference between hand slaughtered and machine slaughtered and all of that kind of thing. And when I first started, I had to really learn how to answer these questions, which is what I want to teach you today. So Marwan, is the PowerPoint, did you get it? You're muted, I can't hear you.
Okay, yeah, I'll post it for you right now.
Okay, thank you. So it's really very simple. First, you have to understand your customer. You have customers that are at different levels of the of halal meat. So if we can go to the fourth slide, inshallah.
Fourth?
Yep, you can go straight to the fourth one. So if we were to talk about your customers, you have some customers that are going to be okay with almost everything. There are some shuyukh here, especially Sheikh Shakir, a couple of shuyukh that have mentioned that anything slaughtered in the US, since it's a Christian-based country, is considered halal. So you go to a restaurant, you can order what you like, you can eat what you like. And some people do go with that view. Others will say, no, I need meat where some mention of the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is made during the slaughter process. And then there's the third, more conservative view of, no, it has to be a Muslim who personally stands with his hand and does the actual slaughter. So when you're talking to your customers, you have to understand which point they're coming from. Because if you tell them, yeah, everything I have is halal, and this brand is halal, and then they go on their own and start looking at this brand and realize, okay, it's halal for those people, but it's not halal for me. It's either machine slaughtered or it's stunned or something, then they're not going to trust you. And they're not going to come back for more business. So you have to really know the person that you're talking to. Slide. So step 2 is really understanding the basics of what halal slaughter is. The 3 important things is that someone of the book, so a Muslim, a Christian, a Jew, is doing the slaughter. The second, that an instrument with is very sharp is used. And the third is that the 4 important areas that are mentioned here on the slide are cut. So these are the basics. And this is what everybody can pretty much agree on. So step 3. Next slide. Oh, sorry. But it's important that you understand exactly how this product is produced so that when you talk to them about the slaughter process, you can speak to them on the different things that are happening with it. So if somebody comes to you who is very conservative and asks you about your chicken, as someone was asking just a few minutes ago, is the chicken that you have halal? And you tell them, yes, it's perfectly halal. You know, we get it from this slaughterhouse, and it's known that the slaughterhouse stuns. And the person asks you, but they stun, and you don't understand what stunning is, then they're not going to trust you again. So stunning is basically used to calm the animal down and to avoid different types of damage that can be done to the animal during the slaughter process. So for chicken, it avoids the chickens flapping their wings really hard and hitting each other and ending up with bruises. With the meat, it makes it, the beef in particular, it makes it much easier to handle the beef and easier to cut the beef so that they can use the skin completely fully when by using the stunning. In the chicken, until 1984, as it says here, they were using 90 volts on the chicken. But now, since 1984, they've started using a much lower point of voltage. This means that the chicken does not die and cannot die from this amount of voltage, although it is rendered unconscious. But with the beef, it's a little bit different. With the beef, either the stunning is done to purposely kill the brain, or the stunning is done and then 40% of the animals accidentally die. So many people will tell you, no, we don't want to use any beef that's been stunned. If you're talking about lamb or goat, you're generally in good shape. Americans don't eat goat almost at all. And so most goat is pasture raised and it's very natural and it's hand cut. And lamb is the same thing. Most lamb actually in the United States comes from Australia or New Zealand that have very stringent international slaughter laws. So if you're buying for your customers and you want lamb or goat boxed, then always Australia and New Zealand are great options. If you're looking at beef, you have to call the companies if you're buying local and actually find out who their accreditation source is, and from there ask the accreditation source how it's slaughtered. Again, without judgment, but just so that you can be able to respond to the customers and what they want. So, a slide. The most important thing that we want to do is that we're going to sell halal so we can get rida from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're doing this because, not just because we have to, but because we want to. And we want to make sure that people are also getting the hasanat that they're looking for when they're eating halal. So they're mostly looking at this ayah right here, which tells us that dead animals are prohibited, animals that are killed by strangling or a violent blow or a headlong fall or a goring of the horns. So people are really, really interested in making sure that their meat is not dead before it's slaughtered. It's not almost dead, it's not questionably dead. And if you can answer these in specific from your supplier, then you will gain the customer. And you're not just going to gain them, but their whole family and all of their friends and everybody around them. Slide, please. So you asked about the chicken. In the chicken and machine cut chicken slaughterhouses. So most of the slaughterhouses in America now have actually been able to gain a halal certification. And that's because they aren't killing the chickens before they go into the slaughter method, but they are passed through a vat of water and they're stunned, and then they're cut by a machine, and there is a recording that is there, or there is somebody standing there speaking La ilaha illallah as the machine cuts the neck of the bird. In the two hand-slaughtered chicken slaughterhouses that we work with here in the East Coast, they bring the chickens live, they put them in a cone, and when the head is at the bottom of the cone, someone stands and cuts the head, then fully drains the blood, and then you get hand-slaughtered chicken. Next slide. For the beef, when it's done, there's two different ways of cutting the beef. So they can cut it vertically and they can cut it horizontally. Generally, the vertically is done so that they can then remove the skin and have the full hide, and that so they can also sell the hide. But it does not cut the four parts that we mentioned before. In the horizontal cut, there's no stunning. It's cut across the neck, so the head is basically severed, and it's a quick, deep cut. And then the heart is still fully pumping, and the blood is completely drained from the animal. So Brother Habib said that you can't really tell halal or non-halal when you're looking at meat, but I would disagree. Sorry, Brother Habib, all due respect. Because alhamdulillah, I've been blessed to be in a business like this since I was born, basically. I've been able to see the difference between halal meat and non-halal meat. I see it really clearly, especially after the third day. So when you purchase a piece of meat from Giant, and you purchase a piece of meat from your halal store and put it in your refrigerator, you'll see in 3 days, the halal meat is still pretty red. There's not a lot of blood coming out of the meat, and it looks almost the same as it did when you purchased it. The Giant or the non-halal meat will start to darken much quicker because there's still blood in the animal after the slaughtering because it's not fully drained. And this is very, very important when the quality of the meat and for the halalness of the meat. Slide. And this is important because consumers know the difference. Our consumers are not unaware of the halal process, and they're not unaware of what they're eating. They know, they really do. And they really want to go to someone they can trust. And they really want to eat food that they know is pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and is good for their families. So when and I see this all the time in my office, somebody will come, and mind you, subhanAllah, it doesn't have to be Muslim. It could be someone who's not even Muslim, because food is important. So when they come into the office and they ask me a couple of questions and I'm able to immediately answer, well, this slaughterhouse has that and that slaughterhouse does this, they get more educated on the food they're eating and they want to come back. They come back for more. So in the interest of your business, in the interest of your dunya, in the interest of your akhirah, you have to learn more and more and more about the slaughter methods of the products that you're specifically buying. You have to understand your customer and who you're selling to. If you're selling to a more conservative group or a more accepting group of different slaughter methods. And you have to be aware of what your customers know. Okay, so that's my advice on buying halal that your customers can trust, and I'm welcome and open to any questions, inshallah.
All right. Thank you, Sister Sarah. We will take your questions now. I see a few posted already. I will try to go through them one by one. I already posted also Brother Habib's ingredient list for anybody to download and use for their business or daily shopping. So one of the questions is if you guys hand slaughter chicken. Well, we are an organization, so we don't sell anything. But Sister Sarah is from American Halal Meat. Maybe she can address this question quickly for you.
Yeah, is everybody here in the DC metro area, or are we getting guests from outside?
I'm in Arkansas. This is Habib Gannon Jr.
We're from Iowa as well. So
okay, yeah. From what I understand, now on the East Coast, we have 2 slaughterhouses that do hand slaughter. One of them just started actually 5 years ago, and the other one has been around for about 30 years. The one that's been around for 30 years is in New York. It's owned by a Jewish man who does excellent hand slaughtered chicken. He started off doing kosher, but then he realized that business doesn't grow with kosher because the number of Jews doesn't grow. You can't really convert into Judaism. While on the other hand, alhamdulillah, Islam is growing quickly. So his business now has the closest thing you can get to what they call organic chicken, but it's antibiotic-free, certified, humane, certified, free-range, hand-slaughtered chicken. And then we have the Ihsan farm that also sells hand-slaughtered, antibiotic-free chicken. In the Midwest and more south, I don't know of any hand-slaughtered chicken slaughterhouses. And Brother Habib, you might know more than I do because you're more around the country than I am. But and then on the West Coast, I know of only one in California.
Thank you, Sarah. I have another question here by Brother Nasser. Habib, when you...
No, I just want to add to what Sarah said. She's right. There are few places that do hand slaughter non-stun, and I'm aware of. Oh, we're welcome. We're joined by from Singapore. This is one of the Aslan. I can see you. So yeah, we have been to some facilities that do hand slaughter, but they're very small. I have been to 3 in the Chicago area. I have actually 4 in California area. We've got in the South, in North Carolina, but they're not enough to feed the whole population. This is why we have some issues with some people being dishonest. And I'm a little bit in disagreement with my daughter here, Sarah, because you cannot just look at the chicken or the beef and tell whether it's halal or not. Maybe if the blood remains in it, and I will ask Aslan, who's an expert, if you want to get him to say something about that. But generally speaking, if there is stunning, the blood tends to remain a little bit more. If there is no stunning, it releases more blood and you see less red. Nowadays, what some people do is they actually paint it, to make it look red, and that's something that is very, very, very critical nowadays. It's dangerous too, The main thing is to just trust your supplier, like Mohammed Wali and others, who that they're genuine and they have and also people that are independently certified by a third-party halal certification, independent third party. Because people like us, we don't sell anything, so we don't have anything to hide. We started mainly with exports, and then now it's gone to domestic too, in many, many ways, especially in the restaurant depots and others, you know. For example, for beef, for chicken, we don't do that much because most of the chicken now are machine slaughtered, except for the few like Sun Farms and the other one in New York, like Sarah mentioned. It is difficult for me to tell, except for the redness that Sarah mentioned. Then I can tell whether it's stunned or not. But frankly speaking, this is why many people get some hand slaughtered chicken or non-stun, and they mix it and they can sell it, and it's because they know people cannot identify what is halal and what is not. And I would like to have you to ask my friend from Singapore to add a few words on that. His name is Aslan. I can see him up.
Yes, we will get back to adding.
All right, okay. All right.
Let's go through a couple more questions, and I see Dr. Amir raised his hand too. So let me ask this question. Brother Nasser said he's looking for a way to measure perceived risk on halal food purchasing. I'm not sure how to go about doing this, though I have been searching for suitable construct measurements. Who would like to address this?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
This is Amir Rashid from Birmingham. We have almost having a midnight, and probably you guys have a morning there.
Yes.
So happy Ramadan to everybody. I only heard the later part of the conversation. It's good, encouraging, yeah, and I agree with Habib brother, and it's a good presentation, which I heard the later part of the presentation by Sarah. Yeah, I mean, the only way is we can tell the product is halal. I mean, my background is vet and specialize in meat science and animal welfare. There are scientific studies which shows there is no apparently difference between halal and non-halal, from bread loss to taste to palatability, you know, everything is basically, even life cycle. There are study which shows which is comparable. So it's very difficult. I mean, of course, sister is saying with her experience, and sometimes experience is different, which is kind of studies anyway. She has experience with a number of years. But so far, the scientifically, the evidence is there. I mean, they are very much comparable. The only thing which can confirm you the halal is through the assurance scheme, which means that, you know, the traceability. Otherwise, very difficult to explain which meat is halal and non-halal. And I'm sure all of my colleagues and my brothers and sisters are aware of that. The stress, if the animal go through the stress, is acute or chronic stress before the slaughter, it is either halal or non-halal, the meat quality get affected anyway. So basically, it's very difficult to say by the looking of the product is halal or non-halal. Is the only our hard work, the certifiers or the other assurance schemes can confirm the product is halal or non-halal. So that's for me, and probably on the back of the scientific data.
Thank you, Dr. Amir. I think Aslan wants to add something as well. Please go ahead, Brother Aslan.
Hi. All right. I actually just joined this meeting for like 5 minutes ago, so I'm still observing. I've heard from Habib and again Dr. Amir, both of them, my buddies. And I'd like to listen a bit more before I can comment anything. Please go ahead first.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. So a couple of things. First, as an organization, we respect everybody's view on halal. Some people believe hand slaughter is only halal. Some people believe machine slaughter is also halal, as long as it follows the principles of Islam. We're here to educate only, and not to tell anybody who's right and who's wrong. So just want to clarify that from an organizational perspective. The other thing I wanted to also let you know that we are introducing is what we call halal verification. That's different from halal certification. Halal certification usually focuses on the slaughter process and manufacturing process and packaging. Halal verification works more toward the retail end of the process, meaning if the halal store is selling halal products, we want to make sure his sources are halal and they're halal certified. And nobody is covering this area. There's a lot of focus on the certification. Us as an organization, we introduced this halal verification process, and we will be also issuing to retail stores, restaurants, hotels, and so on, this halal verification. Let me see if we have any more questions. Anybody want to ask a question verbally? Please do.
Can I just add into it? I think that's a very, very, very good thing, you know, which is I did mention as a Muslims, we need to bring the assurance schemes. And I think is one of the things is exactly the same kind of thing that which is you just mentioned, verification procedure. And that is the only way we can trace the product is suitable for halal or not halal. The second thing I would like to which is we encourage Habib, you know, they are seniors, they are pioneers, and they are mentors of the halal industry. Is one of the things which, as Muslims, that what we need to do is we need to encourage the studies. We need to encourage the research. That's the way the Muslims were we lacking in. And I'm sure if all the halal certification body, they are earning some money, and they are, you know, and we are spending a lot of money on accreditation, etc. We as a together, we should spend money on research as well. And the second point, which I would like to, which is, you know, the stun, mechanical stun, robotic. Look at that, the way the world, the Corona, COVID brought us into the stage where, as a Muslim, we need to get together and think of innovative ways of slaughtering and producing halal in the future. Because that's world is going to change now, is going towards robotic, or, you know, so as a Muslim, we always ahead in the science. So we need to take lead on these kind of issues. Thank you.
Thanks for your input, Doctor.
Marwan, can I add something?
Please do.
Just to confirm what Sister Sarah said, you know, by the way, I like her presentation a lot. Her dad had showed it to us last time. You have to understand some basic things, you know. If people want to cheat, they will always cheat. There are some people that buy the meat and just repackage and put their logo or their brand name. The thing that we need to look out for is, if you are doing that, you need to make sure that the meat has already been slaughtered halal and they have a halal certificate. Now there's traceability and there's a whole system. Now, I don't want to go and advertise because I don't sell anything, but I'm just telling you that if you go to our website, ushalalcertification.com, you can see the standards that are there from different places. There are some people that fake and they repackage meat after repackaging, you know. There's some companies that do that because even some major people that sell frozen meat, they just basically buy and they repackage. So there has to be a system in place, which Sarah was saying, and you, that we have to trace the meat and provide evidence where it came from. So it really doesn't, like the meat, you cannot put a halal logo on the meat except the USDA blue stamp, and then some people cut it out when they're selling it anyhow. So if it is a package, you need to look out for the halal logo, and it really needs to get approved by an accredited halal certification body and or an independent third party. So that's what I want to add to support what Sister Sarah is telling you, you know.
I just wanted to mention something. I think the halal label in and of itself is a whole topic of conversation.
I know, that's exactly, that's what I said.
Our own.
People have been, actually, we've had a case in Chicago where somebody tried to copy our logo. They did it once, and they got certified only for one item on the chicken, and they used it on 55 products. So that is cheating there always. Yeah, I'm
Well,
glad you brought that up. There's a lot,
even the word,
guarantee, but at least the onus is on them, you know.
yeah. Well, what I've seen, and for example, when I was in New York, there were quite a few stores that sold halal food and beer. So just writing, and it's very normal. So
how about the Afghan restaurants that sell you the nice halal biryani and all, and have a bar there, you know?
Yeah, they have and it's very normal in that part of the country.
I don't like it though. I don't like it.
For me, I wasn't able to purchase any meat from a place that sold halal meat and beer. Not because I didn't think it was halal. They could be purchasing halal, but because I felt that the store owner themselves were not trustworthy or didn't understand, weren't trying to sell halal. They were marketing.
It's right on the nose. They're not trustworthy.
So inshallah, inshallah, with the American Halal Council and our verification process and efforts of others like Dr. Ahmed, with research, people will begin to understand and know more how to put proper labels on boxes. But as a store owner right now, in today's day and age, the more you know about the slaughter method, and the more you know about the different ways that the slaughterhouses play or cheat, or even the different ways where halal is okay. And I've had to sometimes explain to people, no, you can't tell me it's haram. You can't go to haram right away. Let's take a step back and accept the different ways that people are saying.
Investigate, yeah.
So then you become, as a store owner, to your customer, someone who is trustworthy and knowledgeable, and someone who, if a new product comes in to you to be purchased, your customers know you're not going to look at price. You're not going to look at the business. You're first going to look at halal or not because you know it and you've studied it and you understand it. So
yeah, you have a very good point, Sister Sarah, because you can have somebody with a big beard, and still they cheat. I have seen people that have mixed, and I don't want to get into names, they will buy their beef 100% halal, zabiha halal slaughter, and then they will buy the other one because they try to fill in the orders, and they will mix it because there's a shortage. Can you imagine the Ihsan farms, for example? And I know the people there quite well. I mean, they can provide maybe maximum 3 containers a week if they do full production. Will that be able to feed all the Muslims in America? This is my point. So it's kind of difficult. So some people want to make up with the regular machine slaughter poultry, for example. So for me, I eat both. I won't lie to you, as long as I verify, So
yeah, I mean, I will eat Pilgrim's machine slaughtered chicken because the brand Pilgrim's and in that slaughterhouse, what they first do is they separate the live chickens based on weight.
Exactly.
So there's an even higher level of confidence that the stunning isn't going to kill any of the chickens. It's just enough stunning for each weight of chicken. So I don't mind eating from the Pilgrim's machine slaughter. But Brother Habib brings up another good point also, is that your distributor is really important too. You have to know your distributor. And something you said at the very beginning, knowing what your distributor offers other than halal. Because I'll tell you a funny story, if you allow me, Marwan, just a few minutes. There one time, my dad, an African American chef, came into our office, extremely angry, yelling, "You guys are cheaters! You don't sell halal! You know." And my dad had to take a few minutes to calm him down because he was actually going to hit my dad. And so dad said, "What happened?" He said, "I told my wife to make soup using beef feet. She went to the store and she bought the beef feet, and when she came home, she was cooking it. He is a chef. So when he came home, the smell hit his nose, and the first thing he says is, 'Why are you making this?' She said, 'You told me to make beef feet.' He said, 'This is pork feet.' So she stopped and she said, 'I got it from the guy, and the guy told me it's beef.' So he took the whatever was left, went to the store and said, 'Where do you get your meat?' So like I said, my dad's been known in the area as honest halal meat seller. So the guy immediately said, Omar Wali. So my dad asked him, what's the name of the store? He said, this is the store. He said, this guy doesn't buy frozen from me. He buys only fresh stuff. So they called the store from our office. The store owner immediately admitted he doesn't buy beef feet from us. Secondly, admitted he buys it from a different distributor right near us, much larger distributor, who also offers pork feet and other types of feet. So what happened is one of the people that were loading the truck put a box of pork feet instead of beef feet. No intention of cheating, no intention of any wrongdoing, but just a mistake. Because in that warehouse, there is pork products. So he accidentally put the box, and he gave it to the guy. And many stores that I deliver to don't even look at the boxes. They sign the invoice, they pay you, and they go. So this guy didn't even look at the box, and he just started cutting it up and putting it away. So even by human error, without any ill intent, if your distributor does sell pork products, you may come in contact with it.
Exactly.
All right, we have a few more minutes left.
Yeah, I know. Let me just answer, because Sarah gave a good example. I got two simple things to tell you about this. The person who sells integrity is very, very important. But I'll give you an example like Sarah just did. I had some people from a Middle Eastern country, I'm not going to name, they were insisting on eating only halal, right? And when I went to the plant that we've been doing for over 20 years, it's all done hand-cut by Somalis, non-stone even, Zabir. So we was asking if the meat is halal. Right where at the restaurant, guess what he asked for? Wine. I mean, I was so embarrassed, and I was telling them no alcohol, that. So it makes a difference. If you see somebody who's insisting on halal and he's drinking alcohol, I mean, how can you trust him? Anyhow, the last point I want to say is that now, as an accredited body, we are required to do testing, post-in test, on all the products for the processed and also raw products. So we'll take samples that will go to the lab and they test it. We have genetic ID, and they have to prove that they have to show if there's any, even 1 millionth of a part from the pork, it would show it. So that test we keep on our records, and we do it randomly. Assalamu alaikum.
Any questions? Please feel free to.
Yes, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Ayman.
Brother Yassin. Ahlan wa sahlan.
Thank you so much, Sister Sarah and Dr. Ahmed, Marwan, and Habib, for your intervention. The big question is, how can we operate this verification process? Because while, like Sister Sarah mentioned, those stores, they don't segregate, and Habib mentioned about the genetic ID, which I witnessed, one of his audit, mashallah, it's like from A to Z, how strict they are. And I respect, like Sarah's father, that he built, his business based on trust. So now Halal consumer will check, how can we do this verification process? Are they going to call like American Council or Verification Council, or how the process works? Because many customers are looking for this type of information, even in Europe.
Exactly. Aslan in Singapore had a proposal which we are working on with Marwan. I think, that's a whole thing, but Aslan has a proposal, and we will get everybody involved, everybody on the floor, including you, everybody else.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, it's a good program.
Aslan can talk about it 1 minute if Marwan permits.
First, I just posted on the chat a video that we just produced. It explains in a simple terms what is halal verification and how it's going to work on the front end when it comes to retail stores. I will also now post a link to our website that shows the difference between halal certification and halal verification. And I'm sure you have more questions about it.
This is the beginning. It's the beginning. Yeah. We have a lot more. But Aslan, for your information, had proposed 2 years ago about this. And that is a different subject that can be talked about, because you will need about 3,000 or 4,000 people across the United States that will be checking place by place. Even I'm talking about even restaurants and hotels and food factories and stuff. But yeah, thank you very much.
All right. Any more questions? Anyone?
Well, there is a lot, but I think you said it's 1 hour.
2 more minutes, please.
Well, I
Yeah,
just
we have a
wanna
lot of
thank everybody
questions.
for coming and listening and
Yeah.
taking that initiative, because it's the most important. The first thing is the niyyah, and then inshallah Allah will sahil for everything else, inshallah.
Exactly.
Inshallah.
And maybe Aslan can talk 1 minute only on some kind of verification. Aslan.
He's shy, you know, don't push him.
Bismillah. Okay. Basically,
Speak
I'm
up, we
just
can't hear you.
Yeah. We have 1 minute, brother. Go
1
ahead.
minute, just summarize it quickly.
Okay, so basically, halal is you have to look at it comprehensively. What we need to do is to actually everybody has to get trained. I was engaged about 2 years ago to go around the U.S. to train the people on the ground. From we do the education from the farm right to the restaurant owners, but we have not touched the restaurant owners yet. We have trained the plant. About, I think we have trained more than 100 people, I believe, Habib. Habib brought me around, to places I've never been before. And Alhamdulillah, we've trained so much, from slaughtermen to the auditors to the Sharia people. Even people who are experts in Sharia, they are not even checking properly. So that's the problem. We have to give training, a standard training. For example, we are talking about basic 9001, or is it whether it's 2200, they have to receive this training for them to be able to perform their job. The problem with us is that everybody thinks they are an expert, and they are not following the same way the others. Everybody check differently. So we have to have a
Sorry to
standard.
interrupt you, brother. We will
we have to go. That is another time.
Inshallah.
Think about that. That's another subject. It's too,
All right.
That's why I told you it will take 1 hour.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate your time. Inshallah, we'll host more meetings next week. Will be about running a successful online halal business. Have a great evening or day, wherever you are. And
Ramadan
Assalamu
Mubarak.
alaikum.
Alaikum salam. And thank you, Sister Sarah.
Thank you,
When
guys.
are you going to deliver something to me?
Assalamu
Assalamu alaikum.
alaikum.
Salam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.